Dina Rodriguez, come on out. Welcome to the show.
I feel so welcome.
Yes. We have so much to unfold in such short amount of time. So your company, Letter Shop, is brand experience. You do typography, but not only that, you're one of the most prolific artists that I've ever seen.
That word makes me so uncomfortable.
Does it?
Yes. I feel like I should be a church leader or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm just talking to people on live streams on social media.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying that. That's so kind.
Absolutely. Tell us a bit about your work and how it's all developed.
So I do something called hand lettering. Not a lot of people actually know what that means. It's just we're creating more of a storytelling through letters. Mm-hmm. So instead of just like picking out a cheap typeface, you hire someone like me that's actually going to think about the design psychology and how to best reach your audience and how you want people to most importantly feel when they see a design, that I'll pretty much create it from scratch. Just really trying to get through that. It's definitely not a printer kind of process. There's like, I kill so many trees, guys.
Oh.
Don't worry, I know in Portland I recycle, chill out. And just like so many refinements, but luckily I've been using my iPad, which has changed my life, and it's just me in my dark, amazing office using this platform called AstroPad and Photoshop, and I just get lost in doing letters all day.
Yeah. We're here at Lost in Portland. We love to get lost.
Yeah,
so
let's do it. Let's get lost together in typography.
Yes, let's break it down. Because like you said, there's psychology, there's emotion, there's so much more to these letters and words than I guess most people contemplate in how we generally interact with it. But there is something in the subconscious.
For sure. I mean, just think of how we see advertisements now. Like every 2 seconds, oh, there's another pop-up ad. There's a billboard that I'm driving by way too fast to even read. And it's about getting people's attention.
Yeah.
And that's what brands obviously want from designers is how can I break through that mold? And I think the kind of style that I like to portray in my hand lettering is that it actually looks like a person made it, not a robot. Like you see the imperfections of the human hand. I call it the perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Where like you see it everywhere now if you really start to look for it, like that hand lettering brush script. Or something that just has a little bit more decoration or depth to it. Mm-hmm. And just because it's clean or because it's dirty, someone made that thing by hand. And it's kind of like this unappreciated secret niche within the design community that is starting to make more traction. I will say that. Yeah. Thanks to me, because I'm teaching a butt ton of lettering. So I'm creating my own competition. But hey, I'll make money on the way. That's fine.
Yeah. So you not only advertise through your handwritten work and the companies that you work with, you mentioned it earlier, your live streams have created quite the audience.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, like when you're creating all these different kinds of content, and as, you know, a freelance illustrator, you have to be a content creator. You're no longer an artist. You have to start putting stuff on Instagram. You have to think about videos. It's about how can I best document my process so people just kind of get me and feel me in real time, where live streaming is a perfect opportunity. It's just me, a talking head, sharing jokes, talking about how clumsy I am, because both my legs are like broken pretty much right now because I just fell off the pavement because gravity's hard, I guess. I don't work out, probably should, but TV is great and I'm going to keep watching it. But yeah, live streaming has been my way to success. Like back in the day, doing something on Twitch, which they have this creative section. They're not just for gamers anymore. And building up this amazing body of work, and I'm getting paid by clients to do the work, and then I'm live streaming that work, and people are donating money because they're appreciating that content, that value, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm totally having so much fun, and I'm getting paid twice. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just a big advocate for Instagram live streams, live streaming on YouTube, this platform right here.
Yeah, that's great. But so you're talking about your live streams and the work that you do, but you also represent a group that is underrepresented in illustrating.
Yeah, so that would be women.
Yeah.
There's this statistic, and it's really like makes me sad. So women actually go to art school more than men. It's a 60-40 ratio. Mm-hmm. And then actually in the design industry as a whole, graphic design, fine arts, illustration, all mapped together, we're 50-50. But yet, less than 10% of women are featured in any sort of media whatsoever.
Ouch.
Podcasts, panels, shows like this, conferences, to the point where it's kind of ridiculous. Like, and we keep seeing the same maybe like 10 or 12 female designers sprinkled constantly, and they have enough exposure. They're already killing it.
Right.
What about these new voices that are coming in? And the internet, you know, it's trying so hard, but it's so competitive now. So I decided to start a web series called Women of Illustration, where I interview new budding talent. So I'm talking girls that like just freaking graduated college. They have no idea what they're doing. And not just talking about the stories, but actually trying to create some tangible tidbits of advice. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about how you were able to make it, but tell me how.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's the 5-point plan for how you made that first 1,000 followers on social media? How do you contact clients? What's pricing? Am I undervaluing myself? These are the conversations, especially with the wage gap for women, something that needs to be talked about, but yet there's not many platforms that are doing it, especially trying to direct that towards women and giving them more of a voice in their own industry.
Can we get a round of applause for that? Now, I've seen some of your videos with the Women Who Illustrate YouTube page. You have women coming in from all around the world to contribute to these interviews. How does that make you feel? Like you're connecting all these women in this field that is underrepresented, you know, for women.
You don't really realize it until we get into like one of those stories. Like, you can talk about art and design all day, but saying like there was this one girl who was talking about how she was the only woman in her office, and all the men tried to push her out, and they would play like violent porn. Like at work, at a day job you're supposed to be productive at, to try to make her feel uncomfortable. They would like hit her with Nerf balls, and then other women sharing stories of like sexual harassment, which does happen. It's not just a trend, guys. And it's just so humbling that these women, even though, you know, some of them are more seasoned, but for the most part they're newly into this industry, and just being able to hear from their perspective, so I could help them more personally, just using the, you know, my couple of years of experience to just get them a little bit more notice, so that they can finally make money from what they love to do the most.
Oh my God, Dina, that's you're 1-2 punch. I love it. Tell me about what illustration means to you. Like, as a creative artist, like, it feels like you have something to expel, like something to
it's
say.
definitely like my favorite form of expression. I came from a very artistic family. Everyone was singing, dancing, playing with crayons, different materials. We were an artsy bunch. And I think art was always the thing that I kept coming back to, because, you know, you're so drawn to it as a kid. Like, that's all of kindergarten is drawing and like paste and cutting things. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, fuck you kids, you're gonna fucking write a paper. No more arts and crafts for you. I was like, wait a second. I thought we were being creative. What happened to that? And using my imagination like you told me. Yeah. And I just kept with it, and I don't know. It's my way of just kind of seeing not only my viewpoint, but, you know, calling out things that need to be called out in my industry and above. And like lately been really getting into, obviously, feminism, body positivity, and most importantly, I'm using my platform to help other creatives just keep going.
Right.
Whether it's to actually show, I don't know, a selfie of themselves on their Instagram, which is something a lot of people are super uncomfortable with. Like, how many artists I follow to this day that I still have no idea what the fuck they look like.
Yeah.
And just trying to keep that motivation up, because we all could use a little inspiration, especially if you're full-time freelance, working from home, all by myself. Right?
Dana, let's talk about that, because freelancing is a jump. Like, we are structured to work in a platform where we clock in, clock out, we work for somebody, and then we go home, drink our beer, and go to sleep. Go to work the next day.
I like how you had the beer in there. That was very important.
As a freelancer, tell me about that jump for you, from moving from...
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question I get from a lot of, like, how do I do what you do? How can I wake up at 10 a.m. and just, like literally wear a blanket as clothes? I'm never wearing pants in any of my interviews. Don't tell my clients. But it's a great life, but it obviously takes a lot of work. Like, I've been in the design industry as a whole for the past decade, being like that jack of trades designer, where you have to learn every single program, the Adobe suite and beyond. You can't give feedback on your own work. It's just he said, she said. Usually, like, you have that crowd of people like telling you what to do, and you're just literally your production monkey. Like, I've definitely, it's been a roller coaster. But just was finally like, okay, I'm gonna start dabbling in illustration, and lettering seemed so much easier because illustrations like draw everything that's ever been created. And then it's like 26 letters. Okay, this alphabet seems a little bit easier. I think I'm gonna do lettering.
Yeah.
And, right? Like, I'm lazy as fuck. How can we make this easier so that way I can just get back into drawing? Because I was just moving other people's artwork and photography and fonts and wasn't really putting my own stamp on my work. And I felt like I was betraying my own expression to a certain point because you spend so much gobs of money on your, schooling and all this stuff. It just gets a little crazy. But eventually, I'm posting work, I'm doing apparel, just letting my freak flag fly, just drawing whatever the fuck I want, and people are starting to notice. I'm getting followers, clients are reaching out, I'm getting freaking sponsorships from Wacom. I'm doing all of a sudden I'm doing conferences and talks, and oh my god, I just made way more money in a month than I had in my last job in the past 6 months, and it just started to get a little crazy. And I think that the drop-off point for me was in this amazing number of 80%. I was making 80% in my freelance that I was making for my day job. I was like, fuck this place, I'm out. Like bills are taken care of. I did that thing, that work that everyone told me I needed to hustle through to finally be able to make it. And I've been full-time freelance for the past 3 or 4 years now, and it's been amazing. And no looking back for sure.
You're so amazing. Tell my audience at home how they could, you already have so many followers. Let's grow that thing. How can they find you on social media?
Well, the only way to get followers on Instagram now is to actually ask people to follow you, since the algorithm sucks a bag of dicks. So please follow me at Lettershop. It's 2 P's and an E, like an old ice cream parlor, and also the domain with 1 P was taken. So definitely Instagram, YouTube. My name's Dina Rodriguez. If you want to follow the Women of Illustration. And then personal vlogs. I put out a lot of content. It's all free. Please check it out.
Awesome. Dina Rodriguez, everybody.